trees above the boats, and we have a really big, huge blue heron, great blue heron rookery there, which is pretty unique, and I've come to be familiar with it because I walk around there to get some exercise. Towards the end of the 5th century, so I can sympathize 100% with this story. Maybe I got the motivation to do what I do from this story, I don't know. Towards the end of the 5th century, Kulai, he's one of the chief characters here, Kulai, in Arabic it means little dog, son of Rabia, Ibn Rabia, was chieftain of one of the powerful tribes called the Banu Taghlib. They divided half their kinsmen with another group called the Banu Bakr, and they occupied a vast tract in northeastern Arabia, that is the area going up towards Iraq today, extending from the central highlands to the Syrian desert. His victory, he was a powerful chieftain, tribal chieftain. His victory at the head of a confederacy formed by these tribes and others over the Yemenite Arabs, the southern Arabs. Yemen, remember I told you, was to the right. Al-Yamina, to the right, as you look towards the rising sun, those on your right, on the south. So these are southern Arabs. So he's a northern Arab confederation. Now I think these are going to be important later on in Arab, Muhammad, and in Muhammad's history, Arab history, Islamic history. Because this young lady's name, Quraishi, comes from the name Quraish, which is the name of the Prophet's tribe. Someone who's a Quraishi is a person in that tribe, supposedly. And you'll see that this is a name very much like Kai's that will pop up in this story. And another name that we just had here, Kal, Kulai, Kais versus Kal, is the big feud that runs through all the history of the first 300 years of the expansion of Islam of the Arabs. The northerners versus the southerners. And in fact, north is Kai, south is Kal. But in fact here is Kulai, but he's a northerner, so it's a bit confusing here. But you don't want to do the whole thing out of this one story. But this Kais versus Kal feud will be extremely important. And if I draw a map here of the Arabian Peninsula again here, you see here's Yemen, and here's Mecca. And the Quraysh have control of Mecca here. But what we're going to get is a story, when I go back a little bit, before we get into the birth of the Prophet, which we're going to do after we finish this, of the movement of the southern tribes north. So even though Kalb is considered southern, they come northern. Anyway, the Yemeni, the northern tribes. And in fact, Medina, which is north of Mecca, it's very complicated, are generally considered to be southern tribes. Thus they originally came from the south, but left the south when the civilization there collapsed. And we have a story here in the first chapter of this book called The Breaking of the Great Dike at Ma'arib. How many saw that story in their reading, The Breaking of the Dike at Ma'arib? There was a very vast configuration of agricultural water installations in the south, symbolized by this dike. And I actually recently saw something on either Discovery or New York Times Discovery Channel, one of those channels that they keep filling up with different documentary short subjects on different subjects. And this was actually on the archaeological ruins of Ma'arib that modern archaeologists have gone to look at, and there was a huge dike there was a huge dam, and it did collapse or fall into disrepair over time, and it was really impressive. They showed this installation. It wasn't just a little thing, it was a big area of irrigation and other works that did actually exist prior to this period, and that did go into decay over a period of time, and is incorporated into that breaking of the dike of Ma'arib. Ma'arib still is a city in Yemen. Still exists in Yemen today. It's inland, not on the coast. And there are these remnants of the ancient civilization there and the sophisticated engineering works that they had. The story is that the southern Arabs, the Yemenis, as he's talking about here, came north after that and lived in areas like Medina and places like that. So it's, even though the southerners are southern and the northerners northern, there are southerners who are more north of the southerners. So for instance, Mecca would be considered north because it's north of Yemen. But in fact, Medina is further north than Mecca, and there are southern tribes. That's a bit confusing, but that's part of the culture that we're talking about. Anyway, Kulayb is the head of a northern configuration, including Banu Bakr. Banu is sons of in Arabic. So he was made him the most powerful man in the peninsula for a time. He was married to Halila, the daughter of, well, there we go. Don't break them yet. I can't read with these glasses, unfortunately. I have to go sort something out, and I can't see after that. So.